The human vessel Odyssey drifted silently through the dark void of space. Stars stretched like frozen sparks across the endless black, and the crew stared at the blinking instruments that hummed softly around them. Commander Raina Holt leaned back in her chair, rubbing her eyes. Space travel was always lonely, but this mission felt different. Something in the sensors didn't feel right. Suddenly, the main console flickered. Tiny lights died one by one, and the hum of the ship seemed to vanish with them. The darkness pressed against the walls, cold and absolute. Raina's hand hovered over the emergency panel, but the system refused to respond. The crew exchanged nervous glances. "Did anyone else see that?" asked Lieutenant Marco Diaz. His voice shook slightly, though he tried to hide it. "I did," said Raina. "Something is out there. Something just touched our systems." Outside, the vast emptiness seemed calm. No meteors, no signals, just the silent black. But the sensors told another story. Alien sensors had detected the Odyssey. Something massive had noticed the tiny human ship. Something intelligent. The lights returned suddenly, flickering in irregular bursts. The crew breathed a quiet sigh of relief, but it was short-lived. On the main screen, a strange pattern appeared. A glowing pulse moving through space, something not like any star or planet they had seen before. It was fast, almost playful, as if it were watching them. "We're not alone," whispered Raina, staring at the moving light. The Odyssey shuddered as if the ship itself had sensed the presence. Alarms flashed briefly, then died out. The crew's stomachs tightened. They all felt it. Whatever was out there, it was intelligent. And it was close. Science Officer Lila Chen approached the sensor console. "It's reading energy signatures I can't identify. Not radiation, not a ship. Something else. Something alive, maybe." "Alive? In space?" asked Diaz, raising an eyebrow. Lila shook her head. "Not alive like us. Different. Something we've never encountered." Raina took a deep breath. "Keep monitoring. Don't do anything rash," but it was too late. The Odyssey's systems began behaving strangely again. Lights flickered. The ship's engines pulsed as if reacting to an invisible force. Instruments displayed nonsense symbols, changing too fast to read. A low vibration ran through the floor, barely felt at first, then stronger. Then the screen went black. "The crew froze, Commander," Diaz said, voice tight. Raina's hands hovered over the console, but there was no response. "Everyone stay calm," she ordered. "Keep visual contact. Report anything unusual." From the corner of the control room, a soft glow began to form. It was faint at first, then grew brighter. It wasn't coming from the ship. It was outside. A shape was forming in the void, almost transparent, with pulsing lines of light that made no sense. "Is that a ship?" Lila whispered. Raina shook her head. "Not like anything humans have built. Something else. Something ancient, maybe." The glow pulsed in rhythm with the ship's own lights, almost like a heartbeat. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanished, leaving the crew in darkness again. Panic hovered just beneath the surface, but the team held themselves together. "Status report," Raina barked. "All systems." "Unstable," Lila replied. "But no damage. The energy pattern, it's gone now. But I can feel it. Something is watching us." The tension was thick. Even Diaz, normally calm, rubbed his temples and muttered, "We're sitting ducks out here, just floating, and something bigger is circling us, waiting." Hours passed with no word, no signal, nothing but the endless black. The crew tried to focus on routine checks, but every flicker of light, every random pulse from the sensors made their hearts race. Then the main screen lit up again. This time, words formed in a language none of them understood. Strange symbols that twisted and turned, glowing faintly before disappearing. Lila leaned closer. "It's not just random. It's communication. They're trying to talk to us." Raina swallowed hard. "Try to respond. But carefully. One wrong move." Her voice trailed off. She didn't finish the thought. A sudden shock ran through the ship, throwing the crew off balance.
Instruments clattered, chairs skidded across the floor.
The lights died again, leaving them in total blackness. The only sound was the quiet, rhythmic pulse of something massive outside. Minutes felt like hours. Raina reached for the emergency lights, but they wouldn't turn on. Diaz whispered a prayer under his breath. Lila's hands shook over the sensor console. Then a voice filled the control room. Not through speakers, through the ship itself, clear, deep, alien, humans. The word vibrated through their bones. "The crew froze," Raina whispered almost to herself. "They know we're here." Outside, the void was empty once more. No lights, no forms, only the endless stars. Yet the crew felt a presence that could not be ignored. For the first time in her life, Commander Raina Holt realized that humans were no longer masters of the stars. They were visitors in someone else's world, small and fragile, and the rules they understood no longer applied. Something waited, and it was patient. The voice had vanished as suddenly as it came, leaving the crew of the Odyssey in silence. Yet the feeling of being watched lingered, heavy and cold. Commander Raina Holt rubbed her temples, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She had faced danger before, but nothing like this. Something out there was alive, and it had noticed them. "Status report," she said, her voice steady, though her heart thumped. Science Officer Lila Chen's fingers hovered over the sensor console. "The energy pattern is back, but it's different. It's not just a pulse now. It's moving around us, almost studying us." Lieutenant Marco Diaz leaned back, his eyes wide. "Studying us? Like a lab experiment?" Raina frowned. "We don't know their intentions. Stay alert. Keep the ship steady. Don't do anything risky." Outside the viewport, the blackness seemed to shift. Faint glowing streaks appeared, weaving slowly through the void. They were alive. She could feel it, not in the sensors but in her chest, as if the universe itself had taken notice of them. "Commander," Lila said, pointing to the console. "They're forming shapes now. Complex ones. It's like a language, but visual. I've never seen anything like it." Raina leaned in, studying the moving symbols. "Try to interpret it. Anything we can respond with?" Before Lila could answer, the ship jolted violently. Warning alarms screamed, throwing the crew off balance. Lights flickered and died. The hum of the engines faded, leaving only the sound of their own panicked breathing. "They're testing us," Diaz muttered. "They're alive, and they know exactly what buttons to push to scare us." Raina gritted her teeth. "Focus, keep calm. We survive this by staying smart, not scared." Minutes passed in tense silence. Then the strange patterns outside the ship shifted again, forming what looked like a gateway, a tunnel of light stretching through the void. The crew stared in awe. It was as if the aliens were showing them a path, an invitation, or maybe a trap. "Do we follow it?" Diaz asked, voice tight. Raina shook her head. "Not yet. We don't know where it leads. Observe first." The Odyssey hovered near the glowing tunnel, instruments struggling to track its energy. Lila's fingers flew across the keyboard. "They're scanning our responses. Every movement we make, every reading we take, they know. It's like they can feel our thoughts." Suddenly, the ship's communication panel sparked to life. Symbols appeared again, then slowly morphed into shapes the crew could just begin to recognize. Dots, lines, and pulses. Lila's eyes widened. "Commander, they're trying to communicate. They want us to respond." Raina swallowed hard. "How do we respond to something we don't understand?" Diaz looked uneasy. "We can try a simple signal. Lights on and off, maybe. Mirror their pulses." "Do it carefully," Raina warned. The crew synchronized the ship's lights with the pulsing patterns outside. Slowly, the symbols shifted again. The alien presence reacted. It wasn't hostile, not yet, but it was curious, studying every change, analyzing every blink. Hours passed this way, a tense dance of signals. The crew learned to anticipate the pulses, matching them with their own. Slowly, they noticed a pattern, a rhythm that suggested intelligence, logic, and purpose. Whatever these beings were, they were not chaotic. They were precise, and they were aware of humans' every move. Then something unexpected happened. The glowing tunnel outside began to shrink, retracting slightly before stabilizing. It was as if the aliens were testing the humans' patience, waiting to see if they would follow or if fear would drive them away. Raina looked at her crew. "This is a test. They are watching, learning from us. But what do they want? Why contact humans at all?" Diaz shook his head. "Maybe they've never seen humans before. Maybe they don't know what we are capable of." Lila typed rapidly on the console. "Commander, I think they're reacting to our emotions. Our fear, our hesitation. They can sense it. They adapt. They're learning." Raina felt a chill run down her spine. Humans were being observed, studied, analyzed, but not yet harmed. The thought was both frightening and oddly comforting. If the aliens truly understood strength, creativity, and unpredictability, maybe humanity still had a chance. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. The alien pulse outside intensified. forming a single, bright point directly in front of the ship. The Odyssey sensors went wild, instruments overloading with energy readings beyond comprehension. "Brace yourselves!" Reyna shouted. The ship trembled as though the universe itself were holding its breath. The point of light expanded rapidly, revealing a massive shape, enormous, shimmering alien. It was alive, intelligent, and immense. The crew could hardly believe their eyes. No human technology could produce such a being. And yet here it was, looming in the void, observing them directly. Every instinct in Reyna's body screamed danger, but curiosity and pride whispered back. Humans were explorers. Humans survived. Humans adapted. The alien presence pulsed once, clearly communicating something. But what? The message was beyond language, beyond symbols. It was a question, a challenge, a test, and the humans of the Odyssey would have to answer. The Odyssey trembled as the enormous alien presence loomed closer. The crew's hearts pounded in unison, each pulse echoing in the tense silence of the ship. Commander Reyna Holt gripped the edge of her console, trying to steady her thoughts. Whatever this being was, it was far beyond anything humans had ever encountered. "Commander, sensors are going crazy," Lila Chen said, her fingers flying across the panel. "Energy readings are off the charts. The ship, it's being pulled." Diaz's face went pale. "Pulled like gravity? But there's nothing there." Reyna's jaw tightened. "Hold your positions. Don't panic. We stay calm, we survive." But the ship didn't respond to her commands. The engines groaned as if resisting an invisible force. The hull shivered violently. Outside the viewport, the stars twisted, stretching and bending around them. It was as if the Odyssey had been caught in a tide of warped space. "Commander, we're trapped," Lila said quietly, fear creeping into her voice. "It's like a bubble. Something is holding us." Reyna forced herself to breathe steadily. Trapped. That word alone could crush anyone's courage, but she had a crew relying on her. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and they had always survived. The alien presence pulsed, and the light outside grew stronger. A doorway of energy formed, vast and shimmering, pulling them toward it. The ship trembled as it approached, the control panels flickering in wild patterns. Every warning light screamed danger, but the Odyssey moved forward as if compelled. Where is it taking us?" Diaz whispered, voice trembling. Reyna shook her head. "I don't know. But stay alert. Everything we see is a test, a challenge." The stars outside the tunnel stretched and vanished, replaced by a swirling mass of colors that no human mind could easily comprehend. The crew clutched their chairs as the ship hurtled through the alien environment. The sense of scale was overwhelming. Structures loomed in the distance, vast geometric shapes that shimmered and shifted as if alive. Lila's eyes widened. This is incredible. They've built a world in space." Diaz swallowed hard. "And we're inside it." Reyna's heart raced. Humans had traveled across the galaxy, but this was something else. It was not just an alien ship or station. It was an entire environment, designed and controlled by beings far beyond human understanding. Every light, every pulse of energy seemed intentional. The aliens were aware of their presence, watching every movement. Suddenly, the Odyssey slowed, pulled into a calm zone at the center of the alien structure. The viewport revealed a massive chamber stretching for miles, glowing with soft, pulsing light. Patterns shimmered across the walls and floating shapes hovered in perfect symmetry. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly alien. "They're observing us," Reyna said softly. "They want to see how humans react." Diaz shook his head. "I can't believe this. They could crush us in seconds." "But they haven't," Lila said. "They want something, maybe understanding." The lights around the chamber pulsed in unison, and a new voice echoed through the ship. Not words, but a feeling, a thought transmitted directly into their minds. Curiosity, questions, observation. The crew realized that the aliens could communicate without language, reading their emotions and reactions. Reyna swallowed hard. "We have to show them something. Humans are clever. Humans survive. Humans adapt. We have to respond." The ship's lights flickered as the crew tried to send signals, mirroring the pulses outside, matching rhythms and patterns. The aliens reacted instantly, the chamber itself seeming to shift in response to the humans' actions. It was as if the environment were alive, reacting to their intelligence, their choices, their emotions. Minutes passed. The tension was suffocating. Every movement, every thought seemed amplified. Then the chamber pulsed brightly and the aliens sent a message, an image, clear in their minds, a human hand reaching out, small but determined, touching the vast alien shapes. Reyna realized the meaning instantly. It was a test of courage, curiosity, and initiative. They were being challenged to prove themselves not with weapons but with wit, ingenuity, and bravery. Diaz swallowed nervously. So, we're supposed to interact, touch, explore? Reyna nodded. Carefully. Show them who we are. Humans survive because we adapt, because we think differently. That's our strength. Let's show them. The crew slowly moved through the chamber, guided by the pulses of energy. Every step brought new wonders. Floating structures that defied gravity. Walls that shifted like liquid crystal. Lights that responded to thought and feeling. The Odyssey's instruments couldn't keep up, but the humans didn't need them. They relied on instincts, creativity, and courage. Then a sudden shift, a loud vibration ran through the chamber. The aliens were testing them further. Shapes reformed, walls moved closer, and the ship trembled as if the very environment were alive. Panic threatened to rise, but Reyna held it back. Humans could not be predictable. They could not be afraid. The crew mirrored the aliens' energy pulses, synchronized perfectly, showing control, curiosity, and intelligence. Slowly, the chamber's tension eased. The aliens had noticed. The humans were not just survivors, they were thinkers, innovators, unpredictable, and brave. For the first time, Reyna felt a spark of hope. Perhaps humans were not just small, fragile creatures in the galaxy. Perhaps here, in this alien world, their uniqueness, their creativity, courage, and adaptability could be their greatest strength. And the aliens were watching, learning, testing, and maybe beginning to respect them. The Odyssey hovered in the alien chamber, its hull trembling slightly as the crew adjusted to the strange environment. Commander Reyna Holt surveyed the glowing, shifting walls with a mixture of awe and caution. The aliens were not hostile, but they were testing every instinct, every thought of the humans aboard. We need to understand them, Reyna said quietly. Not just observe. We need to figure out what they want and how to survive. Science Officer Lila Chen nodded, scanning the pulsing energy patterns. I've been analyzing the chamber's responses. They react to more than signals or movement. Emotions, intentions, curiosity, fear, hesitation, they can sense it. It's almost like they read our minds. Lieutenant Marco Diaz shivered. So they know if we're scared? Yes, Lila said. And clever humans, they notice patterns too. That's how we can start interacting on our terms. Reyna took a deep breath. Then we use what makes us human. Creativity, adaptability, the ability to take risks they won't predict. The crew began to experiment cautiously. They mirrored the aliens' energy pulses, but with slight variations. A new rhythm here, a small shift there, just enough to show initiative. The chamber responded, the lights brightening or dimming as if the aliens were evaluating them. Hours passed. The tension was immense. Every small change in the environment felt like a judgment. But slowly the humans began noticing something remarkable. The aliens were brilliant, precise, and fast, but they were not perfect. There were patterns, limits, tiny inconsistencies that a human mind could detect. Commander, Lila said, pointing at the display. See this? Their pulse repeats every few cycles. If we time our signals, we can influence the chamber predictably. They can't anticipate everything humans do. Reyna's eyes narrowed. Then we exploit it carefully, one step at a time. Show them our intelligence without provoking hostility. The crew moved with precision, testing these limits. Every adjustment elicited a subtle reaction from the alien chamber. Shapes shifted, colors changed, and a low hum resonated through the hull. The Odyssey's sensors picked up patterns that repeated, broke, and repeated again. Proof that even these immense beings had rules, and rules could be learned. Diaz let out a quiet laugh. I can't believe it. We're influencing them. We're negotiating with light and energy. Reyna smiled faintly. Exactly. Humans survive because we think differently. We're unpredictable, resourceful. That's our strength. That's what they need to learn. But the aliens were not passive. The environment shifted suddenly, pulling the Odyssey into a narrow corridor of glowing energy. The walls shimmered dangerously close, threatening to crush the ship. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and panic tugged at the crew's nerves. Steady! Reyna shouted. Use what we learned. Time it with their pulse. Trust yourselves. The crew synchronized their signals with the alien patterns. Every flicker, every adjustment, guided the ship safely through the corridor. The walls shifted, then eased, allowing them to pass. For the first time, the humans felt a flicker of triumph, not over the aliens, but over fear, uncertainty, and limitation. Lila leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. They're learning from us, too. Every move we make, they adjust. It's incredible, Diaz nodded. We're proving something, aren't we? That humans aren't just small, fragile creatures in the galaxy. Reyna studied the pulsing chamber. Yes, we're showing them. Humans survive because we adapt. We innovate. We take risks they can't predict. That's our power. The aliens responded subtly, forming shapes that suggested recognition, almost like a nod. The humans had made contact without words, without violence, and it had worked. But the calm did not last. A sudden surge of energy coursed through the chamber, shaking the Odyssey. Lights exploded in a burst of color, alarms screamed, and the ship shuddered violently. The aliens were testing the humans again, but this time it felt more intense. Reyna's hands flew over the controls. Everyone focus. Remember what we've learned. Timing, patience, creativity. The crew mirrored the pulses, adjusted their responses, and slowly the surge subsided. The chamber calmed, lights dimming to a soft glow. The aliens were observing, yes, but respect, however subtle, was forming. Lila let out a deep breath. We survived, and they recognize our abilities. They understand that humans aren't predictable. Reyna nodded, determination hardening in her chest. We keep pushing, one step at a time. Humans thrive in uncertainty. That's what makes us dangerous in a good way. That's what makes us remarkable. As the Odyssey drifted deeper into the alien structure, the crew realized something astonishing. They were no longer just passengers, they were participants. Humans had entered a game, vast and unknowable, and for the first time they were shaping it. Every choice, every pulse, every action mattered. Outside the viewport, the alien shapes shimmered, seemingly aware of every thought, every movement. The humans were learning to dance with the unknown, to think like the aliens while staying human. Reyna clenched her fists. We've survived their tests so far. Now we start showing them why humans belong among the stars. A new surge of energy rippled through the chamber, brighter and faster than before. The aliens were increasing the stakes. But the crew was ready. They had learned the rules, discovered the limits, and begun to find ways to influence the world around them. For the first time, humans felt the thrill of control, not absolute, not complete, but enough to prove that even in the face of beings far beyond their understanding, they could survive. They could adapt. They could shine. And the aliens, vast and mysterious as they were beginning to notice. The Odyssey floated silently in the vast alien chamber, lights pulsing in time with the strange energy that filled the space. Commander Reyna Holt studied the patterns on the sensors, her mind racing. Humans had learned much in the last hours. The subtle rules of the aliens' world, the limits of their observation, and the power of unpredictability. Commander, Lila Chen said, pointing at the console, I think I've found something. A repeating fluctuation in the energy. If we time it right, we could influence the chamber on a larger scale, maybe even control part of it temporarily. Diaz's eyes widened. Control it, you mean? We could actually make them react to us in a big way. Yes, Lila said. But it's risky. If we miscalculate, the chamber could collapse on us, or they could consider it hostile. Reyna took a deep breath. That's exactly why we do it. Humans survive because we take risks. We adapt, we think differently. Let's show them what that means. The crew moved quickly but carefully. They synchronized the ship's lights and energy emissions with the alien fluctuations. Every beat had to be perfect. Every pulse had to match the pattern with a slight variation designed to draw a reaction. The chamber responded immediately. Walls shimmered and twisted, pulsing brighter and brighter. Energy surged, and the massive alien shapes outside the ship moved in ways the humans had never seen before. The aliens reacted, analyzing, calculating, trying to understand the unpredictable humans. Keep going, Reyna shouted. We're showing them who we are. As the Odyssey sent its calculated signals, the alien environment responded in a way no one expected. Entire sections of the chamber shifted, opening new corridors and revealing structures previously hidden. Floating platforms, massive crystalline towers, and vast glowing arches emerged as if the aliens themselves were impressed or surprised. Lila's fingers flew over the console. "Commander, look! They're adapting. They're changing their structure based on us," Diaz whistled. "Humans just changed an alien world." Reyna's lips pressed into a determined line. "Not just changed it. We made them recognize human creativity. We're not just passengers anymore. We're participants." The aliens responded again. A massive pulse of energy surged toward the Odyssey. The crew braced themselves, fear and excitement mingling. But instead of crushing the ship, the energy formed a protective shell around it, glowing faintly. The aliens were testing humans further, acknowledging their audacity, but without harm. "They're impressed," Lila said quietly, or at least curious. "This was never expected. Humans are unpredictable," Reyna nodded. "That's exactly it. Unpredictable, courageous, creative. That's what they're learning. That's what makes humans remarkable." The chamber pulsed again, this time forming shapes that resembled gestures, or maybe a message. The crew felt it directly in their minds, a recognition of skill, initiative, and intelligence. They didn't understand the language, but the meaning was clear. Humans had earned attention. Diaz shook his head in awe. Wow. We made them notice us, and respect us, maybe even fear a little." Reyna's eyes sparkled with determination. "We're showing them that humans can survive anything, that we're not just fragile creatures drifting in space. We adapt, we learn, we overcome. That's the human way." But the moment of triumph was short-lived. The chamber shuddered violently. Energy streaked across the walls like lightning, and the Odyssey trembled. The aliens were testing them again, but this time the stakes were higher. "Brace yourselves," Reyna shouted. "Remember what we've learned? Timing, observation, unpredictability. We can survive this." The crew responded instantly, mirroring the alien pulses with precise variations. Every flicker, every beat, every movement was calculated yet human, unpredictable, innovative, and brave. Slowly the chamber stabilized. Energy shifted into a rhythmic glow, brighter and calmer than before. The aliens responded once more, sending a sensation directly into their minds. Pride, recognition, a challenge met. Humans had proven themselves not by strength but by intelligence, courage, and creativity. Reyna exhaled slowly. "We've done it. They've seen what humans can do. Not just survive, but lead, adapt, and change the impossible." Diaz grinned. "I still can't believe it. We just outthought an alien species millions of years ahead of us." Lila smiled faintly. "Not outthought, outadapted. We showed them our unpredictability, our creativity, our ability to act in ways they can't predict. That's human strength." Reyna looked out at the shimmering alien world. "And that's just the beginning. Humans survive because we never give up. We never stop thinking. And we never stop daring." The Odyssey drifted deeper into the alien structure, but now something had changed. The humans were no longer just observed, they were respected. Their actions mattered. Every pulse, every decision, every small act of ingenuity had shifted the balance. And far beyond the ship, in the vastness of the alien realm, the beings that had once considered humans insignificant now regarded them with something close to admiration. Humans were small, yes. Fragile, yes. But brilliant, unpredictable, dangerous in ways that could not be calculated, and that was the essence of being human. The Odyssey floated in the heart of the alien structure. The massive chamber around them pulsed with light, energy flowing in patterns that were both beautiful and intimidating. Commander Reyna Holt stared at the shimmering forms outside the viewport. Every moment had been a test, every pulse a judgment, but now something had changed. The humans were no longer merely observed, they had earned recognition. The aliens, vast and incomprehensible, understood one thing clearly. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and intelligent in ways they could not fully anticipate. "Commander," Lila Chen said softly, "I think they're communicating again. This time it's different. Not testing, not probing, recognition." Diaz rubbed his eyes, exhausted but exhilarated. "After everything we've done, they're actually respecting us." Reyna's jaw tightened. "They don't fully understand us, but they see what humans can do. That's enough. That's all we need." Suddenly the chamber pulsed violently. The Odyssey shuddered. Lights flickered and the energy surged toward them like a river of light. The crew gripped their consoles as the ship was lifted slightly as if drawn forward. The aliens were guiding them, not threatening them. Lila studied the readings. "Commander, they're opening a path. A way out. They want us to leave, or maybe to explore further. But it's controlled by them," Reyna nodded. "Then we move carefully, one step at a time. Show them we can follow without fear. We can survive anything. That's what makes us human." The Odyssey began to glide forward, the alien energy forming a shimmering tunnel that led to the edge of the chamber. Stars beyond the structure were visible again, distant but real. The humans were leaving, or perhaps being allowed to leave. As they passed through the tunnel, the aliens sent another wave of energy. This one was different, gentle, curious, almost like a message in their minds. "We see you." "You are remarkable," Diaz whispered. "It's respect. They finally understand," Reyna smiled faintly. "Not fully, but enough. Enough to prove that humans can survive, adapt, and thrive, even in the face of beings far beyond our understanding." The Odyssey emerged from the alien structure and into the void of space once more. Stars stretched endlessly before them, familiar and comforting. The crew exhaled in relief. They had survived the unknown. They had faced the unimaginable. And they had proven something that no alien intelligence could ignore. Lila leaned back, exhausted. "We did it, humans. We survived. And more than that, we left a mark. Even if they don't fully understand it, they know something about us now. Something important." Reyna looked at the stars ahead. "That's the human way. We survive. We adapt. We think differently. And no matter how small or fragile we seem, we are remarkable, unpredictable, dangerous, and never to be underestimated." The alien structure pulsed one final time, a shimmering wave that stretched across the void. It was not a farewell, not a threat, but acknowledgement. The humans of the Odyssey had entered a world beyond comprehension and emerged alive, stronger and respected. Diaz let out a quiet laugh. "I can't believe it. We actually did it. We survived. And they know it," Reyna nodded. "And humanity will always survive. Because we refuse to be ordinary. We refuse to be predictable. We refuse to give up. That's our strength. That's what makes us human." The Odyssey set its course for home, leaving the alien structure behind but carrying something far more valuable than data or discoveries. They carried proof that humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability could overcome even the greatest unknowns in the galaxy. And somewhere, deep in the alien minds, a new understanding was born. Humans were not just another species. They were unique, brilliant, and above all, unstoppable. As the ship glided through the stars, the crew felt something new. Pride. Not arrogance, not triumph over others, but the quiet, enduring pride of a species that had faced the unimaginable, adapted, and proven its worth. The galaxy was vast, the challenges endless, but humans would always rise, always endure, always adapt, and in that there was hope. There was power. There was the unmistakable essence of being human.